more definitive, long form out kind of how to put it, communication on it, I'd look at my channel, Carnivore Muscle, fasted training, when to eat, meal frequency, things like that. I'll talk about a lot of it in there. And actually, in the last live stream we did last week, I think it's the same time, same day, we answered that same question. So I'd look at that sort of footage. It's about a 10-minute ramble talking about it because you're here now. We might as well answer it. We haven't had no other questions yet. I think whatever allows you to perform the best and the safest, reduce the risk of injury the most, is going to be the best one. What I'd say, largely speaking, is you want to make sure that you're warm when you're training. You don't want to be freezing cold coming out from the snow into a gym, then immediately getting into it. So ease into it slowly, make sure your body's warm. You're less likely to be injured that way. Your heart rate should naturally increase in response to training. So don't worry too much if it's a bit higher, a bit lower when you're fed versus unfed. Largely speaking, it doesn't really make a difference. For myself, I notice if I eat a big meal before the gym, my heart rate is much higher, which means I have a perceived amount of intensity that might not actually be there. So my heart's beating faster. It's telling my brain, well, we're doing something. Let's go, let's go, let's go. But the actual effort level in the gym might not be matched with that heart rate increase. So you want to be looking at things like the right amount of food, the right amount of time. How you find that is just through entirely experimentation. There's no hard rules in bodybuilding. There's no absolutes. Sean Baker might do a world record sprint or a row. I don't know. And he might do it fasted. The next time he might not. With me, I prefer to train with a small meal. So that is still a large meal by normal people standards, but for me, it's not that big. It's maybe 400, 500 grams in weight by the time I've actually put it on a plate sort of thing. And that seems to suit me just fine. Experiment with different food sources as well. I tend to do more eggs or things like that if I have them in the morning before training. The reason being is there's more water content in them, I find. So if I'm dehydrated overnight, more water will help me. There's more iron, which is blood building, good before training, I imagine. So there might be some nuance to that. There might be a benefit of having things like eggs with a lot of iron in them, choline before the gym for brain neuro cofactors and things like that. Maybe that's helpful. Other things as well, dairy, there's a nutrient powerhouse, lots of potassium, lots of calcium, magnesium, good before the gym. If you're dehydrated, you maybe don't want to drink a liter of water, but a small cup of milk might do you a bit more justice. You can use additions as well, like whey protein if you require a lot of food but struggle to get it down. Largely speaking, most people don't need these supplemental add-on things. They don't need that much food. If you've got very natural goals, you should do very natural things. So you shouldn't force feed if you're not hungry. If your best intention is to go to the gym and eat, but you just can't, then don't. You're not going to enjoy your gym session as much if you're deliberately going against what your intuition and your hunger signals are telling you to do. What else have I missed, Rick? 'Cause I'm sure there's a lot of things I've probably left on the table there.
Well, as you know, I'm not the gym guy, but I do work physically. And what I found is that when I eat regularly, I think less about food, I have more energy, and I have more strength. If I have to move furniture, some of these pieces of furniture can be 100, 200 pounds. And I know a lot of people that have injured themselves because they jump right into it. Like you said, they're early in the morning. They haven't had a chance to move around and warm up. They bend over, they pull their back, and then they're out for the day, or they strain their wrist, or something always happens. But I always found that getting the little things done first, moving around, getting the circulation going, and then attacking the heavy items, that's a big deal. But when it comes to fasting, I always say if I'm fasting, that means that I'm starving and I'm not going to work as much. I'm like you. I like to eat at least 3 meals a day. And I also like dairy because I find that dairy really benefits me a lot. Not only does it help with strength, but it also helps with my mind because I've tried to go days without dairy and I just can't think as fast as I normally do. I don't know what is the reasoning behind that, but I do like to have my yogurt every day. And I will generally have cheese with yogurt. Cheese with lunch, especially if I'm having a heart attack burger. So yeah, for me, it's important, but you got to realize I've never been obese. I've never had any kind of health conditions like diabetes or all the other things that people have. And they may be fasting to try to reduce or at least manage those health conditions. But like in your case, you're trying the hypertrophy, you're trying to build more muscle. You're not trying, you are trying, of course, to keep the fat down, but you're not trying to go from being obese to being lean. You're maintaining and building. And I think for a lot of people, it's important. So if you're going to do the fasting, you need to realize what is the reason that you're doing it. And I think most of the time, people that benefit the most from fasting are the ones that have a long history of metabolic dysfunction. They've been obese or they have, like I said, diabetes. But for training, I really don't see an advantage to it.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about having the right intervention at the right time. An interesting point you made about, the dairy, maybe it's the calcium, what it is, I don't know. All I will say is I have the exact same experience. If I omit dairy or don't eat enough during the day, it seems like this is what I think happens in my body. I'm guessing from subjective feel and blood glucose tests and things, but I imagine my ketones probably go up too high. Makes me feel a bit laid back, lackadaisical, spaced out, maybe for me as an individual. Therefore, when I go to train and I've not had that significant insulin hit, it's like I'm just like tired, like sleepy. But for me, having enough insulin seems to be helpful. So maybe there's two sides of the coin. It's like your insulin's too high, you get fat, yeah, you feel sluggish, your body just goes inflamed. On the other side, maybe your body goes too slow, inflammation is too low, you don't recover because inflammation is too low. Maybe, I don't know. But it's something we can ponder and speculate for sure. So thank you for the question, Stu. Much appreciated. I'm going to bring up on the screen Juliet. So I recommend Juliet's channel as well. So she's a fellow autistic carnivore. She was an autistic mum of 3 lovely children. So we talk behind the scenes sometimes, talk about difficulties that we may have. I think she's looking at doing some kind of chat with Rick at some point, hopefully, if Rick will have her on the channel maybe, to talk about neurodivergence, being a mum, and having just a more laid back but still concerted effort towards a carnivore diet, which I think is also quite important. But anyway, thank you very much for the $9.99 super chat. Much appreciated. For anyone that isn't a channel member, I highly suggest joining as a channel member. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask for a very greedy sum of money, which is 99 pence, which is $1.20, which is a lot of money, guys. So be careful, sort of don't spend it all at once, sort of thing. But there we go. Yes, she's a channel member as well. She wanted to point that out. So a lot of my more exclusive content is on my channel through channel membership. Also, please subscribe to Juliet if you haven't yet already, if I haven't mentioned that yet. And also Rick, whose tagline channel name is on the screen right now. We've got Sandy's joining. Thank you very much, Sandy, for joining. Much appreciated. Nice to see you here. Rob saying definitely smash that like. Very helpful through both of our streams. So if you can actually get around to going to Rick's channel at Charger Mopar and go to mine, hit like on both. It does help, and it does do double the effort, double the job to help promote the carnivore diet and way of eating. But Mark, thanks for joining. Much appreciated. DS111. I'm not the gym guy either. That's why I look like this. I think you look like a golden coin version of Donald Trump. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's what it is.
Okay, yeah, I've got some American current politics up to scratch. That's a good sign. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining. All right. My work is food, feeding people, love it. Yeah, I worked in about 3 food establishment joints. What about you, Rick? Have you ever done work in like restaurants, takeaways?
No, I've never worked in a restaurant. The only work I did, my first job was actually at a plant nursery. I was selling and delivering plants, and then I've worked in construction, and I've worked, clean outs, and I've done technical work. But no, I've never worked in a restaurant setting because the thing is, I never really go to one. So I figured that would be the last place I could get a job because I wouldn't know what to do. If everybody saw the way I cook, they'd probably run out of the restaurant. I'd walk in there with a handful of iguanas and a duck by the tail on the other side and a whole cart full of steaks. Me in the back cooking this up. I think they would all freak out and they would open the door and they'd all run out like a cartoon. So
love it. Yeah, I've worked at Domino's flipping pizzas years and years ago. Yeah, I've had lots of weird jobs. Not really weird jobs. I've had a job flipping burgers in like a beachside cafe. That was not fun. And that's when my health started to really plummet. I wasn't eating the food, but the job itself was bent over a sink at that angle for 5 hours straight. Not ideal.
It seems like a lot of unnecessary stress because they keep yelling out orders. And I guess now it's all done on a computer, but in the old days, that's the way it was. And I thought to myself, I knew people that worked at McDonald's and Burger King. I said, why would I work that job when I could make more money working at the plant nursery down the street, selling plants, pulling weeds? And then eventually they had me driving the truck and making deliveries and operating the Bobcat, and I made more money and it was less stress. I like being able to leave the location. If I have to work in one place all the time, I get crazy. I can't deal with it. That's one of my weaknesses.
Yeah, I guess with me working online, it's similar in a sense, having that issue, sort of you're stuck somewhere. But I could do such diverse anywhere I want. If in the summer sort of thing, I feel quite well. I go outside, sit in the sun. I can walk down to the quay, sit on a bench, do some work or something for a little bit, maybe lie on the floor. So yeah, I can do my work anywhere essentially, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the third job I had was volunteering at a council ward for about 4 years, and that's actually, funnily enough, 4 minute walk away from where I currently live now. So one of my challenges for this year is to do some hours there. Hopefully, I think it's a good subtle reminder that there's people out there who are always in a worse position than you. So it's very grounding.
Oh yeah.
In that,
There's a homeless camp down the street, so I know what you mean. They live over there behind the park.
Yeah. I don't know who Stu is. I think it's a different guy. Rick, what brand and type of yogurt do you eat? Add anything to it?
Well, I can tell you, I don't really buy yogurt brands. The yogurt that I make is actually something I cultivate myself in the kitchen. And I made a video once, and then I don't know, somehow it got deleted. I need to make another video. If I do buy yogurt, which is very occasionally, I'll go to Aldi and I'll get the plain yogurt, or sometimes Winn-Dixie, whoever has a plain unflavored yogurt, because I can't eat regular yogurts. All the brands are loaded with flavors and they taste awful. I know some people that are keto, they'll eat the sugar-free yogurt, but it still has that nasty sweet taste, which I don't like. So what I do, I just buy milk. I'll buy the regular milk, or I'll even use powdered milk if that's all I have. And then I'll ferment it in my kitchen. I usually ferment it from 24 to 48 hours. So it's a little bit different than the store bought, which I think is only fermented for a few hours. I mean, what is it, 6 or 8 hours? I don't remember. But mine is 1 to 2 days, and then I put it in the refrigerator. I don't add anything to the yogurt. It's just plain yogurt. What I like to do is eat the yogurt with my meal. So let's say that I'm having a steak, or especially chicken. I like, if I eat chicken or pork, or especially seafood is another one. I like to have yogurt with seafood, especially shrimp. Shrimp and yogurt to me is just absolutely delicious. But a beef, I don't think I've ever had yogurt with beef. I don't. Beef is one of those things that's good on its own. But yeah, I do like the yogurt, and also I make sort of a imitation tartar sauce with yogurt that I've done. So it has several uses. But yeah, I make my own, and I really don't buy any brand.
Nice one. Yeah, I mean, the one I get is usually, depends if I'm trying to gain weight or lose weight, basically, but full fat or zero fat, basically, and it's just a Greek style yogurt, 4 grams of carbs per 100 grams, something like that. I'll make a carnivore ice cream out of it, or yogurt of some kind, something like that. I quite enjoy it. Yeah, nothing spectacular, nothing unique really in that sense. But yeah, we'll go to the next thing that pops up. So Ribeye Rob has kindly donated, supported my channel with 10 British pounds, which is quite a lot of money, by the way, guys. It's about
Nice.
30, well, as of yesterday, it was one. Well, it'd be oh god, £1 was $1.18 yesterday. So it's that's quite a lot of money, honestly. And that take most people over here about an hour to earn, like if you're working in a shop. So
It's true.
goes a long way. Yeah, for me, that's probably 2 meals for me, probably 2 good meals. Maybe Rick could get in my future collab. Yeah, Rick, you're invited. It's I can't remember what day it is. Juliet will remember. I think it's on, I want to say Saturday or Sunday, 2 weeks from now, maybe like the 18th. I might be wrong. We'll have to go behind the scenes to sort it out. But
Okay.
yeah, be I believe it. I don't know. I can't remember what time actually. I've written it down in my diary, which I could probably check here. Got it right in front of me. Door. Collab with, yeah, with 12:30 UK time, so it might be quite early for you. It would be quite early for you actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, really early. So don't blame me on that one. But yeah, 12:30 on I think the 18th Saturday. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Best Carnival wishes for 2025. Thank you, BK. Much appreciated. And hi, Rachel. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. And also Finn Bear. I recognise Finn from Carnivore Team GB chats. Thank you for joining. We got a load of your members here. How's it going? Beverly. I feel like a beginner again where you sort of see these new names come up. You're like, oh, there's a new person watching the stuff.
Well,
But
I think some of
it's
them
quite
are
fun.
from my channel because
Yeah.
now I've had a lot more interest lately, and I have to admit I'm kind of happy about that because for a while I thought that I was just wasting everybody's time with my quackery. So I kind of got away from it, but now I've gotten back in. I've had a lot of good emails lately, and people are starting to respond. So I figured out let me come back out of hiding and get back online.
Yeah, why not? Makes sense. There we go. I'll carry on.
Hold on.
Anyway. Good morning, Thomas. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. I thought about working at Burger King when I started Carnival to get free meat, but it turns out they have a limit to the amount you can get. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like over here, but you could probably get a cheeseburger and just get rid of the bun and the sauce and the salad stuff. Maybe, I don't know. That's in the UK. But yeah, I mean, Burger King meat and McDonald's meat over here isn't bad. It's just the crap it comes with. But yeah, I get your predicament for sure. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger. No Coke, Pepsi. I like Pepsi Max. That's my thing. Has its perks, lots of bacon, butter, eggs, and steak, for sure. I just drink water now, and I really want to be able to eat cheese, but I can't. That's unfortunate. Does it irritate your guts at all, or makes you feel a bit sluggish, a bit mucousy, maybe? Kitchen Witch 1885. Hello, thank you for joining. I'm in Dublin. I think it's max 2 patties. Probably, yeah. I think for people that work there, you can get it'd be like a standard size double cheeseburger meal, which would be. I mean, two patties over here, Rick, are not anything to write home about. I think I've got a McDonald's app, and I usually get like 2 double cheeseburgers, no bun, no sauce, and a rabbit food, or duck food. You know. And what I found was, they do like a big tasty burger. You think, oh, big tasty, quite fantastic, you know. Then you do like a double cheeseburger, and these are the same burgers, but they charge way more for the other one. I'm like, should pay much more money just to have like a certain kind of bread with a certain kind of duck food attached to it. What?
It's crazy.
Rubbish.
Yeah, you know,
our servings are tiny. Yeah.
The fast food burgers are so small. I'm like, they make a big deal out of a quarter pound, and I try to explain, you know, my heart attack burger, those are half-pound patties. I won't even eat a patty less than half a pound because I figure, why bother? You know, I mean, to make a decent burger, you need at least 2 half-pound patties. I guess for me, I guess because I'm a little bigger than average, but those little tiny fast food burgers just don't fill me up. I can eat like 10 of those patties and feel nothing.
I think, yeah, they're, I don't know how much they weigh over here, but I could probably do 3 triple cheeseburgers, and that would be like a big meal where I'm sat thinking, I don't want to eat again for about 4 hours or so. So that's I'm trying to think. In terms of, you probably won't know the macros, but in terms of macros, it's about 170 protein, about 170 fat, and maybe 20 carbs just from secret ingredients, probably. So yes, it's like I'd say the average person in the UK could have 3 meals a day, which were a triple cheeseburger each, and probably live quite well. And that would cost about £10 a day, so about $12. You know, that's buying expensive ingredients, not something you'd make up yourself at home with Costco burgers and cheese singles and stuff. But yeah, there we go. Anti-hero watching from India. I don't get many Indian viewers. Do you?
No, I think India is more of a carbohydrate heavy culture, you know, but this is good. I like to see more. There is that one doctor, I forget what his name is, that's from India, and he's treating people that have diabetes with the carnivore diet. I can't remember his name offhand.
It's a tricky name, but I know who you mean. I've seen him quite
Yeah.
a few times. Yeah. There's another one, Rick. You'll find this funny. So there's a guy. He's like, "Oh yeah, we should fast and eat a low carbohydrate diet." And I think he's an Indian chap. He's like, "Oh, get autophagy going and get metabolically fit and adapted." And I'm like, "Oh, great, yeah." But also make sure you have lots of curry. We eat lots of curry because it
Oh,
keeps us healthy. I'm like, you're so good up to that point where you start recommending things which will destroy your kidneys within 2 teaspoons of turmeric powder. So yeah, not well advised in some cases.
no.
There's a few people like that, I think, who are like, they'll get a lot of things right, and they'll
Hmm.
but people gravitate towards them because they got so much right already. But an example might be Jason Fung. Like
Yeah.
he's pretty bang on about a lot of things, but then you hear him say some things like, "Come on, there's a better way to go about this." It's not optimal what you're suggesting sometimes.
Yeah. His thing has always been fasting. That seems to be his thing.
Yeah. Then there'll be like a thumbnail pop up on YouTube like, "You didn't know about this weight loss hack," and I'm like, Jason Fung, he's been talking about fasting for about 10, 15 years. It's probably about fasting.
Yep.
So there we go.
Every carnivore influencer is known for something. I mean, you think about somebody like
True.
Barkay. I always think Randall Cycle. You think about Anthony Chafee. Plants are trying to kill you. There's
Sean
always
Baker, you
one.
think 10 ribeye cost you ribeyes and
Yeah,
rowing and sprinting and weights and stuff. Yeah.
exactly. So everyone has their thing. And then I even asked a question on my YouTube channel. When you think of me, what do you think of? And of course, people think ducks, iguanas, heart attacks.
So
So we all have our thing.
yeah, I'd agree. I mean, mine's probably
Bodybuilding.
bodybuilding and getting people to get their priorities right, like goal setting. We get a lot of questions because we understand things quite well. Like we've worked out along the way. Oh, this is quite a good thing. This is quite a bad thing. But people worry about all these like things at the bottom of the line, but they don't do the things at the top. The Bark A 5 health hacks sort of thing. The stuff that we sort of do. It's like it's no good worrying about how many milligrams of potassium you're getting per day if you're not buying beef and you're just eating chicken breast.
Right.
Like there's a hierarchy of things people need to worry about, and they miss all the important stuff, which makes all the biggest jumps in terms of like health and stuff. So
It's interesting how many people were brainwashed into thinking that chicken breast is an excellent source of protein when it's actually the worst part of the chicken, in my opinion. It's the least tasty, and you're basically just giving yourself, I guess, it's protein, but there's no fat. I mean, there's very little fat in a chicken breast. And to make it worse, it's like when my dad used to cook chicken breast, he used a George Foreman grill, which had a slope on it, so the little tiny bit of fat that was in the chicken would run out.
yeah,
I'm going to
that's
have to
cool.
disconnect this thing.
Yes, right. I'll get onto the next bit. So Rick's phone is the grandmother of the smartphone. Lol. Most probably. Notice how his I think he's using a relatively old microphone, but his microphone's really good for what it is. It's really good. It's really clear as well. That cravings and it doesn't agree with me. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. For a lot of people, it doesn't. Maybe I don't know. Exactly 20% of white folks and exactly 80% of black folks don't tolerate dairy very well. So that's fair enough. Hope at some point you can include it if you're well enough. I guess that's cool. That was a stupid reference to a skit on Saturday Night Live. Probably. I don't know. I'm lost already. I rarely get burgers out because I like them so much better when I make them at home. Yeah, I mean, have you tried Rick's Heart Attack burgers yet? Or the chicken? Are you doing a mixture of fats now? Are you doing like lard and tallow? Or
It depends on what I have. I mean, I
yeah.
prefer to use tallow for most things, but if I run out of tallow, then I'll do lard because I do eat pork from time to time when it's on sale. Usually I can get the fat for free. So I'll go ahead and cook that up in the crock pot and then I get plenty of lard. But if I have my choice, I'll use tallow. But lard works too. I mean, they both taste good as long as it's not vegetable oil. And the vegetable oil goes in my truck. So that's where it belongs.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I've got some meat cooking the slow cooker today, so I've been doing that recently, making almost like a kind of barbecue curry sort of thing with cheese in it. But what I'm gonna do tomorrow is gonna have beef, chicken, maybe a few little herbs and things, basil maybe. Then put like a load of grated cheese all over it in the slow cooker with some butter. That's gonna go down like gravy, honestly. Can't wait. Yeah. Sorry, got to go. You're awesome. Time to make the goulash. Excellent.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining, Thomas. Nice to see you here. Just a heads up, anyone that is here that is listening right now, we'll be leaving the live stream within the next half an hour. So get any questions in early rather than late to avoid disappointment. Best burger patties in my own homemade ones.
Yes.
I never take it from fast food. Fair enough. I would largely agree. What I like to do is get the I don't know how many ounces, maybe like 6-ounce burger patties, quite big ones. Then flatten them a little bit. I like the edges to be kind of crispy, like a smash burger sort of thing. I quite like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the carnivore diet. I try to explain to people: you can always do it better yourself than anybody else can, because a big part of the carnivore experience is not just the look and taste of the food, but it's the cooking process. Because I've noticed that when I eat other people's meat, for carnivore foods or whatever, it's not as good as when I cook it myself, because I start with the raw meat. I prepare it the way I like. I put it on the heat, and I can smell, and I can turn it over, and it's impossible. Even if you go to the best possible steakhouse, I've never had one that tasted better than what I could do at home. And I think that's another reason why the carnivore diet will never be mainstream, because a lot of people, they don't want to think about what they're eating. They would rather just go and order something and have it come to them, or go and pick it up or whatever. But for me, it's the opposite. I like to actually go out there. I wish I could get my own cattle and prepare them, because it's like when I get an iguana craving, I can't go to the local restaurant and order an iguana. I have to go to the canal with a net and crossbow or whatever method I'm going to use, and then I bring it home, and then I cut it up, and then I cook it up. It's the same thing with the Muscovy duck. So yeah, I think it's important, because no matter where you go, I mean, even if you spend a lot of money, I still think that your own kitchen or your own grill can make a better steak than anybody else could.
That's been my experience as well, to be honest. I like to keep things really easy, like air fryer, 10 minutes, 200 degrees on, leave it. Okay, it's done. Then I usually try and flip it halfway through if I can be bothered, if I remember. But I always make sure to add the fat back on the meat. I think that's where
Yes.
people go wrong. You don't want to pour that off, because
Right.
effectively you're buying, say, expensive meat. You're getting rid of, like, say, 10, 15% of it sometimes, because you're draining off all the fat. And I'm like, well, that's the best bit. I could sit there with just a spoon and just eat it, honestly. So good.
Exactly. And it's like, I know people that when they buy a hamburger, they try to buy the leanest possible meat, and then they cook it. And then a lot of times the fat runs off, and they don't even try to put it back in. When I buy high fat ground beef, I normally, if I make a burger out of it, I'll save the fat to use in my tallow batch. But otherwise, I'll make a stew out of it, and it's all cooked in a pot. So when I eat it, I'm just spooning it out. So all the fat and all the other material, I'm eating the whole thing. There's nothing left. So, and then of course, in that case, when you mention cheese, when you have the really fatty ground beef and you eat that stew, there's nothing like cheese to go with it. A nice hard cheddar cheese, it's so good. I mean, it's amazing. Other than that,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like eating cheese with poultry. I don't like eating cheese with seafood, but the fatty beef and the cheese, it just goes together so well. And I don't know, it's just certain combinations. And again,
Mm.
I've had people take me to good restaurants, and they're raving about the steak, or they're raving about whatever meat they're cooking, and I taste it. I go, it's okay. They look at me like, how can you say that? This is the best I've ever had. I said, it tastes like what I cook at home. And I did have a friend that has a lot of money, and he came to my house one time, and of course, horrified to see a dump like this that's falling apart. But when I brought the steak out, because he got some good meat, he got some really good quality of the ribeye, and I cooked it in my kitchen. And he says, this is as good or better than a steakhouse. I said, yeah. When you cook beef, you cook any kind of meat, it's always going to be better at home, unless you burn it, of course, then it's going to be terrible. But if you cook it correctly, it's always going to taste better, because the other thing is, too, you have all these people cooking, they mix different types of food. They're not paying attention to it. I can't imagine that the cook or the chef in the back is concentrating on just your food. There's probably multiple meals cooking at the same time. But when you're doing it yourself, you're concentrating on it. The grill, that's the best, because even if I cook on a grill on the ground in my yard, and I've had videos, I build a fire out of wood, I make charcoal, I cook on it. It's just so delicious. And the best steakhouse I've been to, it's not even, I mean, it's on par with it, but it never exceeds it. If this is a level I can cook at, the steakhouse is usually going to be here. It might be here, but it's never been here.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. So, I mean, the steakhouse over here aren't that popular. We have, in terms of like mainstream franchises, we've got something called the Harvester, which is kind of like a southern style steakhouse ish. Very expensive. 2/3 of it's microwaved. It's all packaged little stuff. It's not great. The other one's this one called Miller and Carter's. Now it's a bit more premium over here. Miller and Carter's. You end up paying for me to get a meal that would cost about £40, so $50 roughly, something like that, which is a lot of money. I mean, I can buy $50. I can buy 3 kilos of steak, like 3 kilos of ribeye steak, and I'm only getting maybe, if I'm really lucky, maybe a third of a kilo at that restaurant. So you see what I mean here? It's not ideal, but what can you do? It's just, but yeah, my thing is getting as much food as I can, and I'm adding like butter to my slow cooked foods. So it is drenched my food in fat, and sometimes it makes it easier to go down, but sometimes you're eating the fat and you have a few spoons, you're like, oh, that's hit the spot, like I'm done. So for me, like eating now is a bit less mindful, which is not great for health or digestion. Like I have to just, sometimes I like might listen to podcasts, eat the food, but it's only to get it down. It's not for health reasons or optimal digestion. It's just to take my mind off the fact that I'm eating loads of food. So that's it anyway. We got an Indian gentleman that only eats goat meat, which is, I think, what they have out there. So that's fair enough. Doing the best you can. Nothing wrong with goat. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really eat cattle, and I guess the cow's too sacred.
A lot of them, some of them do, but they're kept in really crappy environments. They all get diseased.
Oh.
So they actually in India they do throw off the I don't know, the charts, the stats of cattle health online. So it's like, oh, what's the state of cattle within the world? Say the US is about here, UK might be a bit higher, New Zealand a bit higher as well. Then India's like down here, but they throw off that balance of like welfare rights by so much that it makes everywhere else seem like oh, you're abusing your animals sort of thing. But it's mostly in India, it's completely different place.
Well,
if you put fine rules, people overstep that rule,
Isn't it true that in India they only raise cattle for dairy, and then when they get too old, they just turn them loose? And they've shown cattle eating garbage and eating whatever else they can find.
Maybe, yeah. That's quite possible. I don't know, so I wouldn't want to speculate, but maybe. Jerry's asking how you're doing.
I'm fine. So far, so good. Haven't had a heart attack yet.
Not yet. I agree. Chicken breast is the most miserable dry piece of meat there is. Yeah, I think the only way you can really enjoy it is if it's soaked in fat. Or like loads of salt and sauces and things which make it not what it is, basically.
Or you use it to make a pacemaker pizza. That's the only time that I like chicken breast.
Is that recipe on your YouTube channel?
I need to make a video. In fact, now that the weather's cooler, I might actually do it. I have chicken breast, but the eggs are getting hard to find. But eggs, cheese, chicken breast, blended, flattened out, turned into a pizza crust, deep fried in lard, and then topped with meat, cheese, or whatever sausage or whatever toppings you want. That's basically a pacemaker pizza.
Yeah, make a video on that. I'd like to have a look at that if you get a chance to. Juliet's children will definitely destroy your heart attack chickens and burgers. Pacemaker pizzas.
Chicken, that really is popular. A lot of the carnivores they've done, some of them have done videos on it too, and it's so easy. And the heart attack burger, I mean, that's a flavor explosion right there. 4 half-pound patties, 8 slices of cheese, bacon if you have it, buns made from pork rinds, eggs and cheese. Oh, it's good. And if you want, you add extra lard or tallow to it to make it super fatty. That thing is like this tall, and you're eating on it. Everybody's having a heart attack themselves when they see you eat this, all that fat dripping down. And they get so mad at me. Said, Rick, you're so skinny. I don't understand it. How can you continue to eat this? They said, there's got to be 10,000 calories in that burger. I said, calories? Calories doesn't matter. I can't use calories.
Raw measurement. Well, even if it was like a thing, you'd be like, well, look at me. I'm not exactly diabetic and overweight and, I don't know, got osteoporosis and osteopenia. It's not really existent in your body. I don't know.
Well, that's it. I said, how many 56 years old people can do what I do? And they look at me,
That's it.
well. But they say, well, you haven't been to a doctor in years. I said, that's correct. The last time I
Exactly.
went to a doctor, yeah, 1996. Oh, but you could die at any time. Well, so could you. Any of us could just drop dead right now. There's nothing stopping it from happening.
Honestly, I think if you did a comparison study, we got people to, I don't know, cross the road so many times a day versus people that follow carnivore diet. The people crossing the road would have more risk factors.
Yep.
In my opinion, that's what I personally think. But,
I agree.
this could be way off topic, but what do you think about remote viewing and stuff like that? I'm not sure if this is a sensitive topic. I think it could be possible. Is it likely? Probably not. But I'm open to the idea that it could be possible because it'd be an unscientific thing for me to say that it's not true, based on the fact that I've had so many experiences in life which are what you might call spiritual, which would be deemed as impossible, but I know they've happened. So, what about you, Rick? What's your opinion? Do you know what this lady's talking about? Or
I'm trying to figure out what UAP is.
Unidentified something. So like UFO.
I know UFO, but I never heard of UAP.
They changed the nomenclature on it, the wording for some reason, like terminology. So I imagine it means the same thing.
Okay. I mean, I've never seen them. They could exist. I don't know if they do or not. I think a lot of times it's experimental military aircraft or something else that can be explained logically, but I mean, who knows? I really don't know. And when it comes to remote viewing, I suppose anyone that believes in God believes in angels. So I guess that would be some type of extraterrestrial activity. It's just too much speculation. And the way I figure, we have so many problems here on the earth to figure out. I'm not going to worry about that until it becomes an immediate threat.
Yeah, I think we have enough things to tackle with each day. You're better placing your bets, your money, your votes, whatever it is, into people that you trust and see what they do.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the capacity to make much difference ourselves, as we've very, very, very clearly found out. For example, a certain president at some point was recently shot at for whatever reason. And without going into politics, really, you can say, well, if that was possible to happen, how are other things less possible? You know? Like, that happened. The most powerful man on earth, with the best possible security team, that managed to happen. Like, I think many things are certainly possible. Are you? What's your religious release? Actually, are you? What's the word? Something agnostic, atheist, or believer, or what?
Oh, me? Well, I believe that I believe in God. I'm Christian. But the thing is that I don't believe that God directs our individual lives in the way that some people do. I know some people, they think that every one of their footsteps is directed by God. I don't believe that, because I think that we are given the free will to do what we need to do, and we're supposed to train our conscience and learn from our experience. And I don't think we can use that as an excuse, because a lot of times people will use that as an excuse. They come up with a belief that's unreasonable, and they say, well, that's my religious belief and I'm not going to change it. Like, let's say somebody was not going to eat any meat. Well, and my religion says that we can't eat meat. Well, there's no scientific or logical basis for it. It's just a doctrine that somebody came up with. So that's where I draw the line. I mean, the fact that, because I believe so strongly in entropy, the second law of thermodynamics, I believe that there has to be a creator or an external force to keep this going. Some people believe in evolution, which I don't think is possible, because evolution as an adaptation is possible if it's designed in. You could have plants or animals that have a range of DNA and they can adapt to different conditions. And we see this happen all the time. But to take just matter and turn it into life, no one's been able to do that. And until somebody can prove that it can be done randomly, I'm going to believe that there's a creator. Now, on the other hand, I'm not going to use it as an excuse. I'm not going to use it as a way of hating certain types of people or condemning somebody, because that's not my place in the world. The only time I'll condemn somebody is when they do something deliberately destructive when they know better. And I know a lot of people that are like that. They're eating duck food. They have diabetes. They know that there's a danger to it, and they continue to eat duck food. And they keep telling me that I'm full of it and that I'm the one that's going to get a heart attack. And they say, well, God will protect me. I say, God's not going to protect you from eating that stuff. And I know a lot of people that were very religious and they are very dead because they ate a bunch of junk food, they were obese, and that was it. So, that's what I believe.
Yeah. My belief is that I don't believe in a God or a being. I think there's more to the world than what we see, hear, smell, touch, feel, see, hear, whatever, that stuff. I think we have our own freedoms. Like, I think we can make our own choices that impact our lives. I think from time to time, things or obstacles can come our way, which could be extra dimensional. I can't prove or disprove that. But yeah, I kind of think the same as you. I think, yeah, it's possible that adaptation was built in. Like, for example, we play The Sims. If I have a sim or something, I don't know what it is. I haven't played in like 20 years. But say I plant a tree. Well, that tree will adapt over time. Do I throw sun at it? Do I throw water at it? That will change how it adapts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just we plant that seed, and whatever happens will happen based on the environment
Right.
around it.
And the
Yeah,
thing is, when it
interesting.
comes to agriculture, a lot of people don't understand that the plant is also its genetics can be modified by the conditions it grows in, how often it gets water, what type of bacteria are in the soil, because bacteria and fungi are more numerous than any plant cells, and they can actually blend together in some cases. And you'll see plants that are wiped out by a disease. One particular tree is wiped out, 99% of them are wiped out, and one survives. And then that survivor continues and then becomes the next generation of that particular tree. So we see this all the time. And really, what it is as long as you have the original negative entropy, the life, and you have designed in biodiversity, then it can kind of work itself out. And a lot of times things get worse when we humans try to change things to the way that we want it, and then we have a complete collapse. But on the other hand, if we let the system do its thing, then it can actually do better with less effort. It's like when they had the oil spill in Alaska. The part they cleaned up took longer to recover than the part that was just left on its own. So the natural world has ways of dealing with things. And as you said, there's a designed in diversity. And as long as you don't interfere with it, it usually works itself out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of things would be better just left in nature, really. It's hard to know what, though, isn't it, really? Because, I mean, if we left the planet right now, people always say, like, oh, we could end world poverty in, overnight, send money over to Africa and do whatever and feed the kids with disease in India or whatever. I don't know, whatever's going on in the world. And I think, well, yeah, that could happen, but what would be the downstream catastrophic effects? Would everyone in these places stop working?
Yeah. Well, what would
because
happen
they think, oh, I've been given this, we'll get something else.
They would stop working and they would reproduce, and eventually there would be so many of them, there wouldn't be enough food to feed all of them. And like any other natural system, when you have an invasive species, which humans kind of are, there'll be so many of them, and then the disease comes and wipes them all out. So it's only a matter of time before the system has complete collapse. But if you let things fail on a regular basis, then it builds more resilience. But if you keep trying to bail it out, you keep trying to extend and pretend, you're just creating a bigger and bigger disaster that will eventually just implode everything. And then there's no way of stopping it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good shout. All right. My phone's alerting me. My smartwatch is alerting me to get up and move now because my pain's creeping to a 9. I'm going to be paralyzed tomorrow if I don't get off now. So thanks very much for joining, everyone. And please subscribe to Rick if you have not yet already. His tagline, his channel is on the screen. It's at Charger Mopar. I believe he's currently exceeding about 3 or 4K subscribers, which is a lot better than none.
3,000 and something. Yeah, it's growing.
Yeah, nicely done for sure. Anyway, thanks very much for joining, everyone. And I'll see you, Rick, very soon. Hopefully I'll be able to join you on Saturday, either in the chat or the live. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
Either way. We'll see what we can do.
Like.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Take care, everyone. Check out my site at compositionconsultant.com, where your journey to peak performance and optimal health begins. With a degree in human nutrition and over 15 years of training experience, I've guided more than 400 carnivores to not just meet, but exceed their physique and performance goals. through personalized consultations, comprehensive ebooks, and dedicated coaching, I'm here to ensure your success. Join the ranks of those who have transformed their lives. It's time to align your physique goals with positive health outcomes. Visit compositionconsultant.com today and take the first step towards the best version of you. Check out my site at Composition Consult.